this training, and oh, thank you. I always forget to hit record, and I promised someone I would hit record who wasn't able to join. Thank you for whoever hit record. But yeah, I'll be passing it over to the team shortly. But I just want to start by thanking you all for being here and your leadership in the space. These trainings are hugely important, and we're so excited to be able to share more opportunities with folks to work on trauma-informed care and to really be uplifting the field and being a leader in the space. So you, by joining today, we just wanted to say thank you from the EEC and OCA team for being here and looking into this opportunity. And with that, I'll pass it over to Amy to get us going.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Eugenia. How's everyone today? It's great to see everybody. Thank you so much for your interest in our TIR training. We really appreciate you being here. And I will just go through our agenda for this afternoon. We won't quite be an hour, but I promise there's enough time at the end for you to ask questions if you put questions in the chat. And so I just said at the beginning of this, I always forget to introduce myself. So my name is Amy Smith-Cioli, and I am the supervisor of our behavioral health team at EEC, and also a special education support specialist here at the agency, and really lucky to have been part of this initiative and working with the OCA team and creating these opportunities for trainings. And so I'm just going to pass it over to my behavioral health team to kind of go through and introduce themselves. They've all taken part in this training, and so just want you to be able to put a name with a face. Chris, do you want to go first?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Floyd, Behavioral Health Support Specialist with EEC. And I support the Boston Metro region as well as Northeast Massachusetts with behavioral health supports. And I will pass it off to you, Alexis.
Good afternoon. My name is Alexis Thibodeau. I'm also a behavioral health support specialist. I sit in the central office and help support the Western region as well. Thank you all for being here, and I'll pass it over to Stacy.
Good afternoon. My name is Stacy Ware. I'm a behavioral health support specialist in the Southeast region, and I also help support the Northeast.
Awesome. And now I'm going to ask Joy to introduce herself.
Thanks, Amy. Hi, everybody. My name is Joy Cohen, and I am a deputy director over at the Center on Child Wellbeing, which is a division of the Office of the Child Advocate. And it's very nice to be here with you all.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, everybody. So I'm just going to give you all a little bit of a background of sort of how we came to be and how we got here before I pass it over to Joy to talk about the OCA, because many of us are not necessarily familiar with the office, and they do such fabulous work. But we came together to partner with the OCA and the Center on Child and Wellbeing and Trauma to be able to create these different training opportunities around trauma-informed and responsive care. And no surprise to any of you probably on this call, realizing that our early team, our early educators and programs really needed to be able to have support around identifying trauma in their classroom and ensuring that they had the skills that they needed to be able to support kids with a trauma-informed lens. So that is what kind of brought us together. And then, thinking bigger and broader than we thought we would at the beginning about multiple opportunities for folks to be able to join in that training. So I'm going to pass it back over to Joy again to talk about the OCA and the center and about what you all do and what you've brought with us.
Great. Thanks again, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to tell you all a little bit about the Office of the Child Advocate. We are an independent state agency that provides oversight of state services for children with a particular focus on children who are in the care and custody of the Commonwealth. We do a lot of different things at the OCA. We operate a complaint line to respond to concerns about state services that are provided to individual children or families. We conduct research and make policy recommendations and practice recommendations to state agencies and the legislature. And we collaborate with state agencies to launch pilot projects. And we also offer trainings on trauma-informed and responsive practices through one of our divisions, which is the Center on Child Wellbeing and Trauma. And if we can move ahead one slide, I will tell you all about the center. So the center became a division of the Office of the Child Advocate around 2023. Our mission at the center is to empower state agencies and their contracted provider partners towards becoming trauma-informed and responsive. And we do that again through trainings and technical assistance. We also develop sector-specific resources that can be found on our website, various toolkits. We have a lot of different initiatives going on at different times, and some recent initiatives that we've been able to partner with state agencies on include the JDAI Trauma and Racial Equity Empowerment Academy, or TREE Academy, which brought together we've now done 2 cohorts. The first cohort brought together 13 child serving agencies across Massachusetts to come together around work in trauma, resilience, and equitable practices. And we just finished our second cohort that brought together 12 organizations. We also support state agencies in serving young parents through partnerships with DTA, DPH, and DCF. And then we offered trauma-informed and responsive services training for newcomers in collaboration with EOHLC, EOHHS, and EEC. And we do all of our work through the lens of being trauma-informed and responsive, using what we call our guiding principles. And the guiding principles are unique in that they are the only framework that has been designed specifically for work with children. They were created by the Massachusetts Childhood Trauma Task Force, who recognized that state agencies should really be positive intervention points for children and families who have experienced trauma, but that in some cases the system can actually cause trauma. And so they put together a framework with our 5 guiding principles, and a lot of our curricula are structured around the guiding principles, including the Core Champions and Deeper Dives curriculum. So you'll hear a lot about the 5 guiding principles if you come into this training, and they include safety, transparency and trust, empowerment, voice and choice, equity, anti-bias efforts and cultural affirmation, and then healthy relationships and interactions. So really excited to be here today and answer any questions that you may have about the upcoming offering in the fall. And I will hand it back to you, Amy.
Great. Thank you so much, Joy. So us coming together for this initiative was really an attempt to be able to address a need for trauma-informed and responsive resources for early education and care. My behavioral health team introduced themselves earlier, and some of you may or may not know we're a fairly new team to EEC, but again, together to be able to try and address the need in classrooms, specifically around behaviors that challenge. And it's really hard for us to talk about behaviors that challenge when we don't also talk about trauma responsive strategies. And many times we know that behaviors that challenge is popping up because there is a trauma background. And so we really wanted to arm educators with the information that they need to be able to support kids, so that number one, we're not avoiding, we are avoiding re-traumatization. And hopefully we're able to help limit the use of exclusionary discipline because those behaviors that challenge pop up so frequently. And also to be able to help support educators identify and address factors that are perhaps related to their own secondary and traumatic stress. So we are sort of on this pathway to be able to offer these different opportunities, but EEC is also on their own pathway and really trying to create different opportunities for our EEC staff, contracted EEC staff, and our internal teams, so that we can become more trauma responsive in the way that we're engaged with educators, the way that we're engaged with programs, and so that we're better equipped to be able to provide training and technical assistance with a trauma responsive lens. So I love this graphic. And so this is what has brought us to all of these different training opportunities. And we refer to it lovingly as STREET. strategic trauma responsive early education training. And it really encompasses 4 different aspects to this particular initiative. And one of the first things that we did was we roll out a series of LMS trainings. So for those of you that are familiar, we have a Strong Start Learning Management System. So that is a system where folks can pop on and be able to attend various pre-recorded trainings at their leisure. And so, of course, with the leadership of the OCA, we were able to create several different learning modules that really encompass those 5 guiding principles, and really are able to give early educators a foundation and an understanding of those principles and what it means to be able to care for kids with that trauma-informed lens. And it really is created with early educators in mind. And if anybody's familiar with it and have gotten on it, you'll see that, we really recognize the superheroes that you all are. And you have the opportunities to sort of embrace that with those particular trainings. Our hope, though, was that this was not a one and done initiative. And so the hope is that folks will hop on the LMS and take that training, but then perhaps say to yourselves, you know what, that was great. We would really be able, we would love to be able to take a deeper dive into continued trainings around trauma and resilience, which is why you are all here today, because in order to do that, we needed to create a cohort of train the trainers to then be able to turn around and offer additional trainings within their own regions to sort of pick up where the LMS has left off. So they really are extended learning opportunities around those guiding principles. They talk about additional real world application and of course, practical strategies. And our hope was that we could really create, several cohorts of trainers that are able to offer this. And we just finished up our very first cohort in early spring. And I would like to say, they were just a fabulous group of folks taking that training. And, we look forward to sort of offering the second cohort, which will take place in the fall. And so those applications are open now. And that Train the Trainer series will prepare selected applications. There is an application process to be able to train early childhood educators so that they can extend their trauma-informed and responsive learning even further. And those core champion trainers will leave with materials to help support training, to be able to provide that training in their area. The expectation is for you to be able to take this Train the Trainer program and then offer several opportunities within that year, free opportunities for educators to be able to take the training. So that is sort of our expectation for you to be able to take part in this particular opportunity. Those applications are open now. There'll be a link on this particular slide deck, and we can pop that in the chat as well. And they'll be open now until September 12th, and the series will start in October. And I have very specific dates here for us to take a look at. So these are the fall training dates. There is a kickoff on October 7th. That is our in-person time, and that is an all-day kickoff training event. And that particular one will actually take place in the Taunton EEC office, and that is a welcome and intro into the TIR strategies. Then there are several, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 trainings in between that are all virtual, and those take place, they're all an hour and a half. And that is where you're going to dive deeper into those guiding principles. And then the next to the last one is really talking a little bit deeper into about the facilitating through a trauma-informed and responsive lens. And that last time together is another in-person time where everyone is coming together for the day to talk about the capstone. And I didn't know if there was any behavioral health person, anybody from the team that wanted to hop on and just sort of talk about their experience with being part of cohort 1, or Joy, if you wanted to add anything to sort of, Joy is our facilitator, of course. So if anybody wanted to add anything about their experience with that first cohort, feel free.
I can go ahead and add something.
Sure.
So I thought that it was very insightful. And I feel like there is a lot of trauma that educators and children experience. And as much as we think we know a lot, I don't think there's ever enough that we can learn about trauma. And I think it was also a great way for educators and our PDCs for everybody to come together. And I thought that it was just a great group and a great experience. And if you have the time to devote to this, that you will not be disappointed.
Thanks so much, Alexis.
I can also add that I think the process was really supportive in terms of kind of teaching us how to actually facilitate. It wasn't just that we were getting the information, we were able to develop practical skills to provide the training to other people. So that was a great part of the training.
And I'll
Thank
jump
you.
in here too. I want to second what Alexis said as well. I think this is a really timely training, especially given the environment that we are in. And it was absolutely incredible. And I would highly recommend it to anybody who really wants to have some training and how to train educators on working in the midst of the world we live in, and the trauma that can come with that. So highly recommend it.
Thanks so much, Chris. So again, I mentioned this, that we are in the midst of our application process now. There's an application link there, and that will bring you directly, hopefully, to the application that you can go ahead and fill out and send. That will come to myself, and we'll be looking at those over the course of the next couple months. And you will get something that says, congratulations, you've been accepted, and further instruction on sort of how to prepare for the beginning of the training series. Of course, one of the things we want you to be able to do is to take those LMS courses that are online, so that it feels like you have that foundation. That really is a requirement before you start the COT 2 in the fall. Again, the due date is September 12th, although folks that fill out the application will start to hear whether or not they've been accepted or not ahead of time. And so once we get a bulk of applications, we're going to start to review those, and we'll let folks know. And at the very latest, you'll hear by September 19th whether or not you have been accepted to participate.
One quick reminder, Amy, and I apologize that I did not say this earlier, but since we have interpretation, if folks could speak slower than normal will be helpful, I think, for anyone listening in English, and especially for our interpreters who are doing a very good job listening and speaking. So thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
Yes. Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all, Eugenia. Thank you for that reminder. And these are just a few. This is our website at EEC. We have a new platform specifically for our early childhood behavioral health team, where we have posted what we hope is helpful resources around behavioral and mental health. We also have posted there our training opportunities and some additional registration links like this one here. Resources and guides around family well-being, special education, and educator materials. And then, of course, the Center on Child Wellbeing and Trauma has a wonderful website and some really great just facts about childhood trauma, additional information about strategies, toolkits, videos, and then their different training opportunities that they offer as well from the center. Thank you all so much for joining us today. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can see you all. Wonderful. And if you have any questions, I know there's a lot of us here, that you can go ahead and you can either put your questions in the chat. I haven't been able to see the chat, so I know we have folks that are monitoring that. But if anyone has any specific questions, either for me, the team, or for Joy, again, Joy is a facilitator, then you can feel free to come off mute, raise your hand, ask your question. And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have about the trainings.
Yeah, and I got a question to me, so I'll read that out. So again, you can throw it in the chat, you can raise your hand, we'd love to call on you. But I have a question. If I can't make the full training on 10/7, would I still be able to participate? And I think I see someone else who's like wanting to participate, but couldn't make an all day in person at trainings because they're in the classroom too. So Amy, I'll pass
Totally
it to
understandable. That's totally understandable. And it is a bit of a sticking point with us because so much material is covered, especially in the day-long training. We really need folks to be able to commit to all of those sessions and all of those trainings. Of course, things come up, with kids and families and, different things across the course of a few months. But typically an hour or two, that can be something that's maybe adjusted, but we ask folks to really be able to commit, especially to the day-long sessions. Does that feel right, Joy, to you as well? I know that was something.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you
you.
bet. You bet.
I'll just call out too, like we're so lucky to have this partnership between EEC and the OCA. And we thank Joy. I don't know, but the partnership increased a lot when Joy left EEC and went over to the OCA. But there are other opportunities. So if you want to get more involved in this work, I think that website that I dropped in the chat too, there will be more opportunities that come online. And we know that this might not work for everybody, but we are really committed to kind of building out the suite of resources that educators have. And we're so grateful for the leadership. So all that to say is if this one doesn't work due to the kind of role you have or timing, we are the Amy's team is building stuff out, Joy's team is building stuff out, and we are happy to share those resources as they come online. Errol, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, getting back into the swing of things with the Zoom meetings here. Not that I didn't miss it. So I have a quick question. Are there any conflicts of interest with like your full-time job and applying for this? So like I'm in higher ed at Fisher College. Are we still allowed to, apply for this? And then second is, are these going to solely be offered through the PDC centers and Strong Start, or are we allowed to adapt them and then use them as our own and consult? Like I'm also the past president, the 18 hats that we all wear. I'm also past president for Macy. So would we be able to use them through that as well? Like, do you go over what we're allowed or who we're allowed to present it to or with?
Yeah, that's a great question, Cheryl. And certainly you are allowed to apply. There aren't any restrictions on, who is applying. We look at those applications along with our OCA partners. I will say what we're really looking for is folks to be able to then offer that for free to early childhood educators. That's what we really want, is to be able to expand those opportunities across the state. And to be able to sort of continue to offer those at no cost to folks, for 2 or 3 or 4 opportunities throughout that year after you go ahead and take the training.
Perfect. Thank you. And I will say I love this. My dissertation was on trauma and toxic stress in infants and toddlers. So this makes my heart happy.
Thank you, Cheryl. One thing I also want to make sure that I mention is once you've completed, all of the sessions, OCA really continues to be super supportive. So they are supplying you with all the materials, including interpreted materials that you will need to then go out and do those trainings. And then even as you're doing those trainings, there's multiple opportunities to be able to receive support from the OCA. Regarding, feedback or questions, or the partnership just doesn't end. And so just want to make sure I say that how fabulous they have been in continuing to support, and really want to make sure that those materials and that the information stays true to how it was given to you, right? And so we want to make sure that you have multiple opportunities and times to be able to receive the support that you need for those trainings. Any other questions? I can kind of see. Let me see.
Gonna read one out from the chat for you, Amy.
Yeah, please.
So I see from Sarah, do you have to have any special kind of background? Can an educator do this training, or do you want someone with a mental health background to apply?
So really what we're looking for is folks that are in a position, whether or not that's their job position, or it's something that they take part in. We want folks that are able to then offer this training. So for example, in our first cohort, we had many folks who joined us from the professional development centers that we have at EEC, because they're in a position to then be able to offer this training to, multiple folks multiple times a year. So that, I will say, that is really what we're looking for. The intention is to be able to sort of then take that material and go out again and offer these trainings within your area. So to be able to keep, so we can kind of keep the love going and keep those trainings moving on throughout the state. That's the intention, for you to offer those trainings to larger groups of folks, larger educators in your area. So that doesn't mean that you have to have necessarily a background. You'll see in the application, we ask for the information that we're really looking for, is sort of like, what we want to get to know you, and what's your intention for wanting to take this training. What do you feel will be most meaningful once you take the training, and then you're sort of empowered with all this information. So you can then tell us, what are you going to do with it?
Getting a heart from Catherine, which we appreciate. If folks have more questions, again, you can raise your hand and we're happy to call on you, or put something in the chat. Happy to read it out for you. I'm searching for physical hands up too, in case someone can't find the Zoom hand. Yeah. It's in the reactions tab. I frequently have a hard time finding it too.
I would also really encourage folks to sort of hop on the LMS and check out the foundational course, especially if you have a question of whether or not, and if there's confusion about whether or not you should be taking the Train the Trainer, or you're just looking for the basic training and the foundational training. The Train the Trainer is really set up for folks who, again, are going to go out and offer those trainings. But those modules that are put together are just some wonderful information about, how to become trauma informed, and to really give you information on those guiding principles. So it's a great way to start off. It's a great way to start.
All right, I have 2 questions in the chat, so I'll read one and then I'll go to the next one. Not sure if you will know this yet, but will this training be part of the professional development pathway for credentialing later on? So for those of you who don't know, EEC is working on a credentialing pathway, trying to show more of the skills kind of beyond teacher, lead teacher, director 1 and 2. So that's what this question is referring to. I'll pass to Amy.
Yeah, so we don't know that yet, but it is absolutely on our radar. And these were created because Joy is part of our family and in the know. This has been coming for a long time. So these were created with the intention, with our credentialing initiative in mind. And so while there hasn't been a formal sort of announcement with that yet, or even with credentialing, that was the intention. So
there's looking at longevity, right?
Yes.
Not just like get this and then do it a couple times and it kind of falls. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think too, yesterday we got a question from one of our early childhood mental health grantees, which Amy, Alexis, Stacy, and Christopher also work with, about a lot of the trainings that they put together too, and thinking about the long-term vision there too. So I think maybe there is something there. Next question I'm seeing is from Sarah. Our site has a large enrollment of young children in both family child care and center-based care. would two trainers be likely chosen if two people applied? I'm guessing from the same organization, but Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, I think, you know, with the applications, I think it would just depend on how many applications that we receive. And sort of looking at those applications and wanting to ensure that we are able to offer as many opportunities to as many people as possible. But that being said, it's not like we will see the, you know, two names from the same place and say no. And so we would encourage anybody and everybody to apply. You know, certainly you can write in your application as well, like what would be ideal for your situation. And again, you tell us, let us know what is your vision for then having this ability to be able to offer these trainings.
Thanks, Amy. Two questions that are similar that I'm going to drop in a response for too. But we have, is the training available in Strong Start in Spanish as well, which it is. I'm going to drop that link and respond to your question. And then another question to you asking if there's options on Strong Start. So I will drop in the link for the Spanish specifically as well. But on Strong Start, the training is available in Portuguese, Spanish, English, and Chinese, a simplified Chinese written, spoken Mandarin, but they're all different links, which is a little confusing. So I will drop the Spanish one in there now. And if anyone wants to chime in with a language link that you need, I'm happy to go find it for you as well.
Thanks, Eugenia. Any other questions? Just looking for hands. Also, if you get off the call and you think, oh, why didn't I ask this particular question? Please feel free to reach out to me. As Eugenia said, these will be sent to everybody and you'll get the recording. And so my email is on that. Joy's email is on the slides as well. If you have specific questions, either about the content or the dates or anything that comes to mind or your application, please feel free to reach out to. You know, we're always happy to answer additional questions. There'll be another session as well in August 19th. Is that right? Yes, August 19th. So we wanted to have at least one per month over the summer so that folks had a good sense of the opportunities coming up in the fall. So if you just want to come and see us again, you can come again in August if you feel like it.
Or if you're applying and you have questions and you want to call and chat with us, we're always happy to take the emails, but also always happy to chat as well.
For sure, for sure.
And also, I see too Jocelyn's question, how we get the slides. Thank you, Alexis, for saying let me email. So if you registered for this session, you'll get an email from probably me with the recording, the slides, and the links to the application. If you did not register, you might just want to register even though you already attended. So I make sure I don't miss you in sending out the resource, or whoever forwarded you the Zoom, you can grab the details from them as well. Go ahead with your question. I'd like to see the hands up.
Hi.
We love to hear you too. It's nicer than reading it out. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Nicolasa. I'm not presently working, but I used to work for Boston Public School. And I was wondering, do you gonna have like a resort list of places that we can go and present the training? Do we have to go through EEC to do so? How will it work?
Yeah. So we do ask that folks that you go through EEC, because what we want to do is we want to be able to keep track of the offerings that are happening. And you'll see once you complete your training, Nicolasa, like I said, you'll stay in touch with the OCA, and there's a special website platform that they have set up for folks that are doing those trainings. And so you would then go ahead and register and say, I'm going to be offering this training at such and such a place. Because we really want to keep tabs on sort of where the training is happening so that we can continue to support the efforts that are happening out there. And that's why like I said, a lot of them do go through the PDC and the academy. But you know, that's what we sort of ask folks to do, is to be able to stay in contact and let us know when those trainings are happening.
Thank you.
You bet.
Amy, there's a question about if the trainings offer continuing education credits, which I do not believe they do at this time. Is that
Not
correct?
continuing education credits. No, like I said, what we're looking at mostly is like how this can be linked to our credentialing efforts, but not continuing education credits right now. Thank you, Stacy.
But they'll count towards annual hours, annual PD hours, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
I got another question. Someone submitted their application, which is so exciting. Thank you for applying. And they want to know, will I have to wait until September to find out if I was accepted?
No, you won't. So if you've already sent your application in the next week or so, I'm going to look at the group that's already sent out, that's already submitted their applications. I will send that information to our OCA partners in the group that will have look at those applications, and we'll let you know ahead of time. So we'll be letting folks know on an ongoing basis right up until September. And that's mostly so in the end, I don't have to go through and try and say, okay, these 40 people are accepted. Yeah, and we want folks to be able to plan, obviously, too, because fall is such a busy time. So one of the reasons, too, why we had these information centers, we really wanted folks to be able to mark this on your calendar. Because as we said earlier, it really is important. And we say this in the application, that you're able to commit to all of those times. Because there's so much information that goes into all of the sessions. I can kind of see in the future, the in-person days will offer on a Saturday. That is certainly something that we can consider. Once they have completed the training and begin to do trainings, will they have ongoing meetings to attend? So what we have is we have a support through the OCA that you can attend. We did have sessions that were set up for our first cohort. And I believe a lot of those were attended well in the beginning, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Joy. And then I think folks felt really empowered, like they were doing pretty good. And so attendance kind of, it sort of dropped after that. So it didn't look like there was a need for those sessions where everyone was kind of coming together. But as I said, anytime you need support from the OCA around that training, you can always, it doesn't have to be a session or a cohort, or a specific time that they're bringing folks together. You can just reach out to them and say, you know, I'm asking for some support around this, or I need some feedback. And you can certainly do that.
From Sophie in the chat, is there a minimum number of times we'd have to offer the training as a trainer?
Sure. So we didn't set a set number. We would like to see it offered at least three opportunities to folks, but knowing that, like, you know, time is difficult, scheduling is difficult. So we would like to see at least 2 or 3 times within that year, folks being able to sort of offer sessions on that training on an ongoing basis.
And then I see, if we're selected, do we receive a certificate if a PDC asks for it?
We have a certificate of completion that we give you, yes. Yeah. Great questions, guys.
Yeah, I know. I think you can tell by the questions, some people will be in that application and applying soon, which is very exciting.
Very exciting.
Other questions from folks? Thank you. Yeah. And we hope to have a new strong cohort of this. Again, I think I'll share like how I opened, which is like we're so grateful for the leadership in this field. Like working in early education is a very special place. And there's people like all of you who step up constantly to help the kids you work with, to help the other educators you work with, or just people in your community. And we are so appreciative of that. So we hope to see you all in the fall at the cohort. And if not, we hope that we see you at some of the other opportunities that our behavioral health team here at EEC is putting together in collaboration with the Office of the Child Advocate. We know it's a growing need. Amy always talks about little people with big behaviors, and I think us all coming together to um, create like better skill sets for ourselves really translates out to the broader field. So we're really grateful you all took the time to join us today and ask your questions. And look out for an email from me with more details. If you have burning questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Amy, or Joy. We're happy to answer them. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. And Amy, Joy, I don't know if you have anything else to close out with. Yeah.
No, have a great day, everybody. It's beautiful out. Go enjoy the day. Great to see you all. Thank you.
Wonderful to see everyone.